Hello, everyone. This is Jasmine Jackson, founder and executive director of the Accelerated Training Program. We're a newer nonprofit that started in 2022. We're focused on digital and educational equity for underserved groups. And with that, what that means is we have a focus in cybersecurity education. So, exposing underrepresented, underserved groups in cybersecurity education. We're currently in the K through 12 space, but are looking to expand into the collegiate and apprenticeship space down the line. If you would like to know more about our organization, visit our website at www.t-atp.org. We also have our one pager at this link here. And if you would like to donate, click the donate button. Thank you so much for listening to our short PSA, and the video will be starting shortly. Have a good day. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Ponent Fridays. In this video, we're going to do the Simple CTF. I actually recorded this video and realized that my recording software was pointing to my wrong monitor. I have a dual monitor setup. So I realized that I was talking, but you couldn't see anything. So I want to solve this room, even though I have solved this room. I'm going to go about how I found the answers for the questions. So enough talking. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start the machine. And I'm going to start the attack box. Okay, so we have our IP address. Let's get started. Okay, so we need to see how many services are running under port 1000. We know the answer is 2, but how do we get that? I'm going to use a application called mmap network mapper, and I like looking for the versions of the services running on a particular box. So I'm going to put in my IP address of 10.10.192.170, and I'm going to say verbose. And so what the verbose does is it prints the information to the screen as it's happening. So we have two ports, 21 and 80. And now we have another port, 2222, but that's above 1000. So that one doesn't count. Okay. So we have FTP, so that's port 21, and we have port 80, which is HTTP. So that lets us know we have two ports that are open that are under 1000. Now we have this port 2222, that's our highest port, and it's running SSH. So that's how we got that answer here. Now, what's the CVE you're using against the application? How are we going to get that? Okay, we see we have FTP open. Oh, and we can do anonymous login. What does that mean? So if I say FTP and I open the FTP server using my IP address of 10.10.192.170, it's going to ask, hey, are you trying to log in as root? We're not. We're going to log in as anonymous. And as you can see, our login was successful without a password. This is extremely insecure. If you have an FTP server, you should automatically disable anonymous login. And you might be wondering, well, why would I want to do that? Logging in as anonymous, I can now do a listing of the server and I can see what is on this server. So if you have sensitive information, PII, and you allow anonymous login, anyone can log into your FTP server and view your content or download your content. So how are we going to do that? We're going to use the git command, and I'm going to download this for Mitch. I want to exit the FTP server. We can tell it was successful because we have the goodbye. Now, if I do a listing on my machine, the for Mitch document that was on the FTP server is now on my computer. So if I say cat for Mitch, okay, wow, okay, seems like someone is upset. Okay, you're the worst dev I've seen. You set the same password for the system user, and the password is so weak. I cracked it in seconds. Gosh, what a mess. Okay, so whoever sent this to Mitch is not happy. Okay, so that's FTP. Next, we have HTTP on port 80. And what can we do? So we can do force browsing or try to find hidden directories or folders and or hidden files on the server. So how are we going to do that? First, I'm going to use a program called derb, and I'm going to pass in the IP address. And now it is going to use the word list common. And we see here we have index.html, robots.txt, and simple. So let's go to this simple directory. Oh, let me do 10, what? Simple. Okay. If it will come on like today. Come on. Okay. Oh. Okay, now it's going. Okay. Okay, derb stopped. And it also does recursive. So when there's a new directory, it starts again with the top of the word list and try to find new folders or new files. So here we have the simple directory. It started again. It found admin assets, doc directories, and index.php. Code 200 means the page rendered successfully, and it gives us the size. We have a lib or library, modules, temp, and upload folders. And again, with admin, it's doing it all again. Okay, so let's see. Let me try this. I think uh, I think I did HTTPS, and that's a different port altogether. Yep. Okay, that's why it wasn't working. So HTTPS is on port 443. HTTP is on port 80. HTTPS is HTTP with secure socket layer, meaning it creates a tunnel to make sure that the information is sent in a secure manner. HTTP on port 80 is not secure. Okay. So, going to the simple directory, we see we have a web page, a CMS or content management system made simple. So that's this one. Okay, so we see a copyright CMS made simple, and we see we have a version here, version 2.2.8. So we're looking for a CVE or common vulnerability exposure. So how are we going to do that? Let's go to Google and we're going to type CVE. CMS made simple 2.2.8. Okay, so it looks like there are some CVEs for this version. We have a directory traversal. We have one that this looks like is serialization. We have an SQL injection. We have in two cross-site scriptings attacks. So looking at the different CVEs, we're trying to look for one that looks pretty simple. Okay, so the first one is a directory traversal on the CG extensions module. Okay. Second one is a serialization on the module front end users. The third is SQL, excuse me, and this is on the CMS made simple 2.2.8. It's possible with the news module through a crafted URL to achieve an unauthenticated blind time-based SQL injection. So unauthenticated meaning you don't have to be authenticated to the system or application to perform this SQL attack, which is the worst kind because that means anybody can execute this SQL attack. So I already it's already solved, but the answer is CVE 2019-9053, and it's the SQL injection. So next, what we're going to do, so we know the CVE, so let's go back to Google and let's see if there's a ready-made exploit for it. So I'm going to go to ExploitDB, which is a database of exploits that are available, and I'm going to say 2019-9053. And what do you know? We have it. So this is for CMS made simple versions that are less than 2.2.10. Ours is 2.2.08. So we're here. Okay, and so this is the exploit. Now, I am also going to go here. Okay. Looks like someone changed it for Python 3 because it looks like the other one was for Python 2. Okay. So I already know um, that Python 2 is deprecated. So essentially, let me explain. Hold on, let me want to find a good way to explain this. Okay. So the original exploit is for less than versions less than 2.2.10. This was written 3/30/2019. And looking at the code, I can tell that this was written in Python 2 because with the print statements in Python 3, you need to put parentheses. I already know that this machine is using Python 3 since Python 2 is deprecated. So if I was to use this script, I would have to modify it to make it compatible with Python 3. This script here by Irena is already in Python 3. So this was last tested in 2021. And so the original exploit is pointing to this here. And we're saying, okay, we take full responsibility with using the tool. Again, that's liability purposes. Only use it where we have permission. We have permission because this is try hack me. I'm in my account. This is for practice only. I'm not trying to do a penetration test on a live site that I don't have permission for. Okay. So what am I going to do? I am actually going to download it. Okay. So I copied and paste. And now I'm going to save on my desktop. And I'm going to call this CMS PY. Okay, so now if I go back to my terminal and I open a new tab and I go to desktop, CMS PY is there. But it doesn't have the correct permissions. Right now, I can't execute this because the execute is not enabled. So if I try to say Python 3 cms.py, oh, okay, it looks like it does work. So let me say Python 3 cms.py dash u http 10.10.192.170, and we need to crack the password. So I'm going to use a word list of user share word list rocku, which is a common. Okay. Okay, which is a common list. Simple. Okay. So now let's see what we get. Excuse me. I was getting a sip of water. So we're trying to find the password because we need to log in. And it looks like we're going to find a user. Our user is Mitch. So it's like, dang, Mitch, you changed the password and you made it super weak. So we know the password is secret, but how are we going to get that? Okay. Looks like it can't. Something is going on. We're trying to crack the password. Okay. One will say, hey, try to work through and make it work through this exploit and make it work. But we know the user. The user is Mitch. So now I can use another application, Hydra, and we know the user, which is Mitch, and we're going to use the password. We're going to try to brute force the password, and we're going to use rock you. Now, here we have 3 services. We already looked at 21, which is FTP. We logged in anonymously. That's where we downloaded the for Mitch file. We looked at HTTP. We did force directory to see what directories were open and files. Now we need to crack the password, and we only have 1 service left. So by process of elimination, let's see if we could find the password for the SSH server. And remember, in the note, the person told Mitch, hey, you changed the password for everything, all services, and you made it really insecure. So we specified the user Mitch password. We're going to use a word list of RockU, which is a common password cracking that is used. Next, we're going to specify the number of threads, and that's going to be 4. So we're going to have 4 threads running concurrently, and we're going to do this against the SSH server. So what I'm going to do is say, hey, we're going to do this against the SSH server, and my IP address is 10.10.192.170. So if Hydra will start, okay. Oh, okay. So you see it says trouble connecting to port 22. We're not on port 22. Our SSH is on port 2222. So they're trying to throw us off. So we need to provide the correct port of 2222. Okay. We found the password. Secret. So that's how we got that. Again, I could have tried to work this program, this exploit, Python exploit, to crack it. Again, is the juice worth the squeeze? I knew there was another program, Hydra, that can be used to crack passwords as well. So again, this is something that's very important when you're doing CTFs. You don't have to use one tool. Matter of fact, you probably won't be using one tool. And you have to have different tools in your toolbox and know when to bring them out. Okay, so the password is secret. Now, how are we going to log into the SSH server? We're going to say SSH Mitch at 10.10.192.170. Oh, wait. 2222. Oh, hold on. Port. Okay, I had to specify the port because it's on 2222. So it's saying, hey, are you sure you want to connect? Yes. What's his password? Secret. It's a secret password. Now we're in. Okay, so we were able to log into SSH. That's what we did here using Hydra. Mitch, your password was super secure, my dude. Secret? Secret. Interesting. Now, okay, let's do a ls. We see the user flag. So if we say cat user.txt, good job, keep it up. here. Okay. Are there any other users? So if we do a print working directory, which will show us the current location we're at in a Linux system, we're in the Mitch directory. So for every user, they have their own folder or directory in the home directory. So now I went up a level. So now if I do print working directory, I am now in the home directory. And if I do a listing, a long listing that shows everything, including hidden files, and hidden files in Linux are marked with a period, we see we have another user, Sunbath. Sunbath. Okay, what can we leverage to spawn a privileged shell? Okay, so in Linux, if I use the command who am I, it tells me who I'm logged in as. In this instance, we're logged in as Mitch. Mitch is just a regular user. So what is a privileged shell? A privileged shell is where you go from a regular user, in this case Mitch, and you're trying to escalate your privileges or escalate the things that you do, and you want to transfer to an administrator, or in this case, root. So root in a Linux system is the administrator. So we need to figure out a way how we could go from Mitch, regular user, to root, the administrator. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to say sudo l. What does that do? Sudo l is a command that goes to the sudoers file in Linux, sudoers. That's the name of the file. It goes to that file, and essentially what that file does, if you're a system administrator, and let's just say every week you're making changes to an application, every time you run the application, you run the application as an administrator. And let's just say after a while, you're like, look, I don't want to enter the password. I just want to execute this application. And the system will know when I execute this, I'm executing it as an administrator. So what the system admin will do is they will add an entry in this sudoers file. And what that says is, hey, for a particular application, I want this to run as root or the admin. And so we have an entry. For Mitch, they can run the Vim application as root with no password. Oh, I should also mention, you should be very careful what you put in the sudoers file. Because if someone gets access to your server and you have something like this, they can escalate their privileges very easy. You should not have a person be able to execute an application and get root without a password. That's extremely insecure. Also, you should be very careful what you put in the sudoers file, because if you create an entry, anyone could abuse it. So there's my soapbox. Okay, so we know for Mitch, we could execute the Vim command or the Vim application. So that's the answer there. Now, how are we going to escalate our privileges? Let's go back to good old Google. And we're going to say Vim privilege escalation. Now, this site, GTFO bins, is really good. A lot of times I use it when I need to escalate privileges, when I'm working on CTFs. So there's different ways we can do it. I'm going to go to the sudo section because we use sudo-l. Now, what am I going to do? I am actually going to open my terminal again, and I'm going to say sudo vim c bin sh. Wait. Oh, crap. I hate when it does that. Okay. So it worked because our $sign turned into a hashtag. And when I run who am I see that I'm root. So if I go to the root folder, and remember, this is only accessible to root. Okay, so hold on. ls, I'm going to show you that. So root, read, write, execute for the user is root. For group and other, they can't access. So only the root user can access root. Okay. So now I see there's a root.txt, so I'm going to open it. And that's how we got well done, you made it. Okay, so this was a great video to go over some pretty standard things that you would do when completing a room or completing a CTF. You want to see how many ports are open. That's using mmap. You want to start seeing what you can do with FTP. We were able to do anonymous login. Look to see what was on the FTP server, saw the for Mitch.txt document, downloaded that. Noticed that Mitch made all the passwords really secure. Next, we went to port 80 HTTP. After we used derb to do force directory to see what directories and files were on the server, HTTP server, we saw that there was a simple directory going there. We noticed that the application was using CMS made simple 2.2.08. Went to Google, looked to see what CVEs were available for the application. We saw directory traversal, serialization, SQL injection into cross-site scriptings. It was the SQL injection. From there, we went to Google again to look for exploit for that CVE. Again, the CVE was written in Python 2 because I could tell by the print statements it was not in parentheses. I knew using this machine it was going to use Python 3 because Python 2 is deprecated. So downloaded Python 3. From there, we were able to get the user and the email. We couldn't get the password because the exploit, wasn't working. So we used another application, Hydra. We passed in the user that we found, which was Mitch, and we used a word list of RockU, which is a common word list, 4 threads because we wanted to go pretty fast, specifying SSH, provided our IP, and SSH normally runs on port 22. In this instance, they were trying to trick us, so they did it on 2222. So we had to specify the port of 2222. From there, we found the password, secret. That's real secure, Mitch. Okay. From there, we logged in to SSH. Well, we can't see it now, but we logged in using SSH. We were in Mitch's home directory. We saw the user flag, which was good job, keep up. We went up a level, did the listing again. Noticed there was another user, Sunbath. Then we used the sudo-l command to see if we can escalate our privileges using a particular application. We could with Vim. Went to Google, Vim privilege escalation, and I went to the sudo section and GTFO bins because I used sudo-l, tried the first one, it worked. Went to the root directory, opened the root.txt, and we found it. Well done, you made it. So, I hope you learned something in this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.